What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be bringing you guys my Houston Regional recap for the January Regional.
Don't lose your way, your mind, we have to be as one.
What's up, YouTube? Orstorm here, coming at you guys with a kind of a regional recap. I did this last time, regional. I typically do this every regional. Now, I admit, like, this is basically the same list you guys saw not too long ago, minus the side deck, which was unfinished at the time. So, I'm not going to spend as much time as I usually do with deck profiles. I tend to spend a little more time explaining stuff. So I'm not going to spend too much time on certain pieces of the deck. I'm going to go a little bit more into detail on the side since we didn't have it previously. But anyway, let's talk about my matchup. So I didn't do as well as I thought. Now, part of this was my own fault for not getting the proper amount of playtesting. I will always tell people, I cannot stress this enough, you have to playtest a lot before a big event. And I didn't really get a lot of playtesting in until the week before. I was pretty satisfied with the list. I'm pretty happy with it, all things considered. And I will say that while I do like Metal Foes a lot, I've noticed that they, this isn't like playing Magicians or playing any kind of Perform Pal variant. You don't have as easily recoverable scales. Like if they blow up your scales and you don't have a counter engrave, you're kind of boned. Like Metal Foes just do not top deck. But for far as my losses, I had 3 out of 4 of my losses were to Toad variants. 2 of them were Hero Toads. The other loss was to a kind of a vanilla Toad variant. I made a big misplay in that match because I thought he was playing Paleozoics, but he completely sided out his Paleo engine, and I sided in Jinzo's. I believe I sided in Jinzo's Max. I believe I sided in Jinzo's, Gamma Seals, and I'm not sure what the other cards were, but I know I sided 2 more cards in. I oversided and lost that match. This first hero player just absolutely decimated me. Both games, like it got so bad game 2, he literally had nothing by the end of the game but a Bumbaku and Stealing in hand and no resources and extra deck Pendulum Summon. Really, really bad. The other loss was to a kind of a strange deck, very interesting deck. I would have loved to actually looked at the list and profiled it. It was a Kaiju Cyber Dragon Metal Foes. He was, instead of playing the Klee engine, he was playing Galaxy Soldiers, which allowed him to make Infinity. And one thing, also another card that just lost me a lot of matches was Vanity's Emptiness. Like, that card is the most ignorant card in the entire game right now. It's ridiculous how many matches I lost that card. Most of the time they'd have some kind of negation, like a Toad and the Emptiness, and then even if you have Eccentric in hand, there are literally no outs like to this deck. Like, there are multiple times where I had Eccentric in hand and I could have popped the Emptiness, but they had a negate online, so there's nothing I could do. It's unfortunate. Vanity's a very powerful card. It wouldn't shock me if it's placed on the Forbidden list next time around. Nevertheless, my wins were, I had twice towards the end of the tournament. My opponent didn't show up, but my wins were against some weird Prophecy deck. Surprised to see. One thing I do say a lot about this regional was there was a lot of diversity. There were so many different decks like in this tournament. It was insane. And I beat the Prophecy player pretty quickly 2-0. The Metal Foe Yang Zing was my other win. I actually did it was pretty decent. Like, game 1, like, rather than setting up the normal, like, Titanic, Void Ogre, set counter traps setup, he had Crystal Wing, Ultimaya, and Omega. I had Terror Top, but just not a lot of ways to out it. Game 3, though, I was able to make game 1, I just made Ignister. I had a Gofu in hand, and I top decked a Bumbaku, so I was able to make Ignister and just clear his field. Game 3, just kind of, I set up a good board. Kieran put in work that game. So overall, I think I could have done a lot better, provided I had proper amount of playtesting. But, DDDs come out next week, so I'm going to probably be switching it up quite a bit. But anyway, I will go ahead and get into my list and explain on cards, choices, and whatnot. I'm not going to spend too much time on the certain parts of the deck list, so we're going to kind of breeze through it. 3 Gold Drivers, 3 Silvers. Then we have the 3 Volflames, 3 Steelins, and the 3 Bismagia. Like the ratios. I honestly wish I could play more Metal Foes, to be honest. Like, I wish we had like a 6 target, because times I didn't see enough Metal Foes, like, I see why people max it out now. We'll spend a little more time talking about this card, though, which is the 3 Gofus. Gofu is honestly the best card, I think, all day for me. Like, it set up a lot of really good boards. Even without Zulkin, like, the card opens up so many plays. a lot of times it opened turn 1 Omega, which is pretty decent. A lot of times I would side one copy out. It was easy, and when I would go into game 2, I would side a copy out along with Upstart. Would be like the first 2 cards I would side out. But the card is really good. There's only one time I did drew it. And there were multiple games where I resolved it twice, so the card is really, really good. Like, I still think it's good in the deck. I still think Abyss Actor build is probably superior, but I did like the 3 Gofus. Then, of course, the Terratop and the Takentomborg. I like this engine a lot all day. It helped a lot to be able to make established boards and break boards. There was one moment where, like, I think he had striked my Omega when I tried to activate the effects, so, like, it came to my turn. I actually shuffled back the Takatom, because I had a second Terratop in hand, so I shuffled back the Takatom with Omega and then searched it out again. Kind of a cheeky play. But I really liked Takatom. I think I did drew it once, but otherwise, like, it was pretty solid. I liked it a lot. So, yeah. However, I would say this and the Gofus would probably be Abyss Actors, I think, because I feel like the rank 4 pool is just better than the Synchro pool. Then for the, of course, the obligatory 3 Bunbakus when Kieran. This will probably be if Kieran gets hit. I do think that this will probably come out as well. Maybe for something else. Not sure what yet, but obviously Bunbaku's a level 3. Searches Kieran, pretty good. The one Luster only drew it once all day. And it allowed me to pendulum summon my Kieran and set up a Mithrilian play. So the card's really good. I also special did off the Ignister against the Yang Zing player. So obviously, if you're playing Ignister, you kind of need it. The 3 Eccentrics, they helped a lot today. The problem was every time I could have used one to out their like vanities or whatever shit was giving me trouble. Yeah, but otherwise it was good. I mean, it's eccentric, so you play 3 in Metal Foes, but I just wish if they wouldn't have had the negates, it probably would have helped with outs. Then the 2 main deck Mystical Space Typhoons, I will safely say, I did not see an anti-spell fragrance all day. Really surprising. Like, I have all the matchups, I didn't see an anti-spell fragrance all day. I didn't run into ABCs or only one mirror, so this card was still really good, though. I used it a lot to pop my combination, to unbrick my hand. I'd still main deck 2 personally, but, it's really up to you. I like it a lot. The 2 Painful Decisions, obviously, I like to, there never was a time I really felt I needed a third one, and there were a couple games where I did draw both of them. You only play 2, but you end up drawing both. It sucks, but I really like them. They're fine, obviously, The one Upstart, this was usually the other card I would side out, the first card I would side out, because it is kind of a blank card, but obviously, it helps a lot with your consistency. And for your Metal Foes targets, of course, the obligatory 4 targets, there were some instances where I accidentally shuffled back my counter when I needed it to set my skill. To be honest, like, I found counter was the first thing I would end up setting a lot of games because you just didn't have an ideal hand. But, these are pretty standard ratio-wise. I wouldn't play it any other way. Then the one Emptiness. Emptiness is obviously... there was only one game I drew it, and ironically, like, my opponent also had vanities. It was against the Metal Foe Yang Zing player, but it seemed to... It's obviously it's vanities. It's the most probably stupidest card in the game right now. It's just cause it's so dumb and probably might. And then one card I actually added in last minute was a 1-dimensional barrier. So buddy of mine let me borrow it for the event. I was able to. I didn't know what I would cut for it, so I ended up just playing 41 cards. It worked out though. I mean, the only time where I had it and it would have really helped was I should have flipped it over. Like, I misplayed against the vanilla Toad player because I should have flipped this preemptively before he could do anything to prevent his Exceed from even hitting the field. But, I misplayed. And, but I'm still having to learn the card. The card's absolutely amazing, though. I'm probably going to end up picking a second copy up later. Now for the extra deck, of course, we have the tokens. Too much to say there. It was like last minute thing. One Alcahest. Second one never came up. Honestly, like, you only need one. The second one only comes up in the mirror, and I only saw like one, if you can call it a mirror, because he was playing kaijus and all this other junk. But one Alcast is fine. You don't need 2. 3 Mithrilians. The third one didn't come up, but there was one situation against a hero player where I probably could have summoned the third one, but you definitely do need 3. Sometimes it does get striked. The 2 Orcalcs, I will say, I don't think I made Orcalc all day. If I'm gonna be completely honest, like I didn't. Mithrilium was the one I was going into a lot more, and it's because it's easier to summon in general. But I would say that Calcum is still a really good card. But I never really had a situation where I went into either this honestly all day, which was surprising. For the synchros, of course, we have the one Cypher Lord Omega clutch card. It was really good. There were a lot of games where I ended up making it with Gofu turn 1, and it's pretty decent. It's sometimes helpful if they do banish Metalfoes Fusion, you can put it back, and it tends to help with your turn 1 plays. The one Scrap Dragon, misplayed and made it against the hero player round 1. I don't know why I went into Scrap Dragon. Honestly, I should have made Omega, but, you know, I was dumb. But I really liked it a lot. The one Ignister, I made it against the Metalfoe Yang Zing player. I think he had like a Silvered and a Suwani on board. And I popped the Suwani with Silvered. I popped the Silvered with its effect and then spun the Suwani. Really good card. Ignorant, just done. Ignister is a very ignorant card. And then the card I didn't make, Vermilion Dragon Mech. Now, a lot of Metalfoe players are talking about this. And the theory was, okay, say I draw Gold Driver and I have Gofu, but I don't have any level 3s. It never came up all day. Honestly, this would definitely be another card because I noticed I was thinking maybe start a Spark Dragon, maybe equip Anganir, maybe Karen Gorgon, but this would definitely be something else. Like honestly, it never came like this card never came up. It only came up in like one little side match I had. And it's good, but I feel like it's way too situational in a deck where we only play like 3 level 4s. And then the one Utopia Lightning came up against the Metalfoe Yang Zing player. I actually had 2 Gold Drivers on field, but I still stand by my statement. You don't make rank 4s that much in this deck. Without the Abyss Actors or other level 4s, you just don't have the engine to make like Karen Gorgon and other cards, and they're too situational. But these cards just, you need them because Metalfoes sometimes have time getting over big monsters that can't be targeted, blah, blah, blah. Grand Pulse came up a lot today. Usually you just make it to pop back row or pop your combination. Not too much to say there. Totem Bird made it a bunch today. Obviously, you're making it turn 1 to shut down your opponent. Made it a bunch. Was really good all day. Breaksword made it a couple times. Pretty good, decent card. It came up a lot. There weren't games where I made both Grand Pulse and Breaksword, but they're good in both different situations. Now over the side, I'm going to go a little bit more into detail here, obviously, because you guys haven't seen the side yet. So, obviously, as you guys saw already, we have the 2 Gamma Seals. These went in a couple times. I actually did Gamma Seal the vanilla Frog player, but the problem was he still had the OTK because he had like Cat Shark. He ended up making Cat Shark and F-Zero and took my Jinzo, so I was kind of fucked at that point. But obviously Gamma Seal, I mean, these might be Lava Golems, honestly, like when DDDs come out, so, but Gamma Seal is still pretty solid. And the 2 Maxis, I don't think I saw them all day when I did side them in. Honestly, there weren't a ton of matchups. I did side them in against the Kaiju, but I didn't see them because like it was really good against that deck, special summon so much, but I didn't see it all day. The 2 side blockers, I actually did see these against the hero player that I lost to in round 8. But I called Shadow Mist. Unfortunately, he had the Frog Engine. That deck is so flexible and consistent that even if you call Shadow Mist or whatever other card they might have, there's not a lot you can really do, and you're just kind of boned either way. The 2 Jinzos, I sided these in against the like Frog player, like I said, but unfortunately, he sided out his Frog Engine. The theory behind this was really good. If you have Tribute Fodder for it, you can just Tribute Summon it, and then it's really good against Paleos because it turns off all their traps, and on top of that, it can beat over Totally Awesome and like Dinko. These would probably, I would probably honestly play Holding Legs because I feel like Holding Legs is just better because it bounces everything. And yeah, they can chain to it, but most of the time, if you're bouncing their traps, it doesn't really matter. Like because yeah, they can Dynamiscus or whatever traps they might have. The thing about Paleos, unless they're playing strikes, unless they have strikes or breakthrough skills possibly, they just don't have a lot of negation effects built in, so it's one of the reasons why I think Holding Legs is probably a little bit superior to cards like Jinzo right now. The Wonder Geki, I think I sided it in against some of the Toad players, but it didn't really come up that much. Book of Eclipse, didn't side it all day. I didn't really run into any like anti-meta or like ABC deck. So that's that's one of the reasons why this didn't go in. It's good in theory because the Orcalc's a card. You can book everything and then attack over it for game Orcalc. So didn't see it all day. Third MST went in against some of the Metalfoe players, but I didn't really come up a lot. And then probably the card that's definitely going to change, the 3 Typhoons. Honestly, like, these are going to probably be Ghost Ogres because while Typhoon was good in theory, I didn't see... Honestly, people are not running Anti-Spell Fragrance right now. Or the few decks that are, like, are just... It's just not as relevant as it is. It's kind of one of those cards that fades in and out of the format. So Typhoon was mostly for Anti-Spell Fragrance and for ABCs, and I didn't see an ABC deck all day, so it's one of the reasons why Typhoon was in here. Alright, so anyway guys, let me know what you guys think of my deck profile and the regional. You guys there, how did you enjoy yourselves? Let me know down in the comment section down in below. As always, thank you guys for watching. Soulstorm, signing out.